I got something that I haven't shown you yet, and we do this on every gas motor we do. We also do it on diesel, but for diesel injectors, I send them out. I don't have the fuel shop that I need to do diesel injectors proper, so I send them to a guy that I really trust. I've been using him for 30 years. But this is for all engines that we do, our gas. So the first thing we do is we want to check our injectors. We'll pull these out of an engine. This is on, what is this on?
Hemi.
We're 5.7 Hemi?
Yes.
5.7 Hemi. We want to make sure that not only do we build a good engine, but we want to make sure that their fuel system is up to snuff on their remanufactured engine. So what we do here with this machine is we bench test all our injectors and clean them. So the first thing we do is we're going to pull out the screen out of them. We've already pulled the screen, nothing fancy here. We're going to pull these screens out. We rebuild these injectors. Inside every injector is a little pintle screen. So we're going to pull those out first. We'll get all those out and then we'll clean them. But before we clean them, we want to check the coils. Tyson, let me introduce you to Tyson. Tyson's like a son to me. He's been here how many years, Tyson?
28 now.
28 years. Math. Couldn't do it without him. So tell us what you're doing first, Tyson.
So right now I'm plugging them all in to the machine harness, because then it has what's called a coil test, where I can then see and make sure they're all plugged in and make sure my ohms are within specifications.
Because really what an injector is, it's got an electromagnetic coil in there that moves a pintle up off of the spray nozzle here. And think of it like your sprinkler head in your yard at home. So we turn that over and we wanted to pulse a sprinkler thing into your sprinkler head. We would have, this is what would happen. An up and down motion with the pintle in there. There's always pressure here. Mechanical pump is putting pressure on that. And so you're getting the spray pattern out through this. We want to make sure that the electrical integrity of that injector is good before we do anything else. Because if that's bad, we toss it in the can and get another one.
Okay, so with them all plugged in, I go through, I look at all of them, say, okay, here's where all my ohms readings are. So then I'll take a before and after cleaning to see if they're different. Here we have an ultrasonic cleaner chemical. It warms up. Then we have a tray to set the injectors in. So we'll get them in here, make sure the tips are in the bath. Then our machine has an ultrasonic cleaning option. It'll do one section for 40 minutes, do another this for 10 minutes.
These are frequencies, pulses in the...
So I do the linked all above, you hit enter, and now you'll hear the injectors running. We'll turn our machine on, and we'll let that run through to clean them.
We've had these going for about 2 hours in our ultrasonic cleaner. We're going to go ahead and disconnect all the harnesses, and we're going to test them for flow and for spray pattern. We'll show you how we do that. Every injector is different. So what we'll do now is we'll find the right receiver. You can see some of them are, and we've got to build that. I think it's this right here, isn't it, Tyson? The long ones, you got them? Short ones? Yeah.
It's pretty.
So what we've done is we've loaded our injectors. This will do an 8-cylinder. If you had a V12, we'd have to do 4 more later. But we've loaded our injectors, these graduated cylinders. So we're going to do some testing with them right now. We'll talk and tell you what that is.
Okay. Make sure they're all
within spec. This is our ohms reading, and that is within the manufacturer's specifications. Go ahead and let's go.
So this is just our initial run, just to get them going after getting them cleaned.
We want to get all the air out of them and everything. You'll watch up here. They'll start their testing. Right now we're running that engine like it was running at 2400 RPM, and our opening rate is 6 milliseconds each injector. We're just about timed out here. Okay, now quickly we'll look at these. Now this is just the start of the test, but you'll see each one of them 60, 60, pretty dang close. Well, look at this one. This one's off about almost 3-4 milliliters. This one's off a milliliter, couple of milliliters here. Okay, so this injector here, we're going to call that number 5, and number 6 are kind of looking a little off. So let's go ahead and dump it.
So we're going to go through and we're going to do, so we have an idle test, 2400, 6000 RPM. This fires them full open. Then we have where it starts idle and then all the way revs up and then all the way down. Then another one that's a little less RPM, 3400 RPM. And this you can do them all at the same time.
They're a little slower now, but they'll ramp up here in about a minute. Right now, this is an idle RPM. And you can see them. They're not really, this is about 800 RPM. This is how they'd look if they were firing in an engine just sitting idling. We're almost timed out. So this first test is at 800 RPM. 6.2 milliseconds is our dwell time on for our injector. And we've got 8 seconds left to go here on this particular test. Now it'll dump the tubes.
So we're going to check our levels again, make sure they look even.
Now we're going to run it at 2400 RPM. 6 milliseconds is our opening time. Our dwell time, that's on for 60 seconds. Now this is simulating when a multi-point injected. This is a multi-point injected. I didn't bring this out, but we can change our fuel pressure here, our pressure control, and we can simulate exactly what the fuel pressure would be in the car. And we've adjusted that accordingly. We'll let them settle. Now if you look here, see how that's right at 60, 60, 60, 60. But look at this one here. We're a little lower. This solvent's starting to clean it up a little bit. We're not as bad, but we're still off a little bit. That one's better. This one's off a little bit, and that one's good. So now we'll keep cleaning them. So now we're going to run them at 6,000 RPM. We'll drain the tubes again. Now our on time is a little less. We've been running 6 milliseconds. Now our opening time is only 2.2 milliseconds. And we're only going to run it for 30 seconds. Let's do it. Here we go. Now you hear them, man. These things are working. Check out the atomization that we're getting now because of the faster speed and the shorter on time. "40, 40, 40, 40. Whoop. Still a little low there, aren't we? 38, 40, 39, 40. So it looks like 5 and 7 now are still giving us a little problem. Let's drain the tubes. We're going to do one at a time now. So this one, so the rail's pressurized. We don't have any of them leaking. And this one, they're not in order, but see this one? No drips. This one's on. This is full on. And this is doing it for 5 seconds each injector. So we're checking different balances. It really gives you a good look at your spray pattern. And again, we're checking it. We're like 32, 32, 32, 32. Getting a little better. That one looking good. Nice. Okay. Let's drain the tubes. This is going to cycle it between 800 and 5600 RPM. That's basically, you know, simulating real driving conditions. Our on time is going to be 1.5 seconds to 3.5 milliseconds, and we'll let that go for 60 seconds. Let's see what it does. Now you'll notice they'll change the time, the on time here in a second. See, they're ramping up. Kind of like you can even hear it. It sounds just like a car. I don't know whether you can hear that.
When you look at the screen.
But it's taking you your RPM. It's a pretty nice machine. You know, this is how we get really motors. When we're done with the motor, it's not like a regular shop where they put in a motor and they either sell you new injectors or you just go cross your fingers, hope they're good. This way we know we got, you know, good injectors in each cylinder. Now it's ramping back down. You can hear it. Our RPMs are dropping, like going back to an idle. So this is actually kind of good. This is actually showing you we had a couple of bad injectors that as we run through this cleaning cycle with the solvent in there, let's look at them now. Let them sit for a second and quit shaking the machine. We're at like 48, 48, 48. This one's still 46. I'm probably going to want to dump that injector. It's 5 and 7. They're within range. I mean, that'll work for me, but I'll talk to the customer. We'll probably just want to be selling 2 injectors. And then let's drain the tubes. What's the last thing we got to do, Tyson?
I do the 3400 RPM one. So it's one down.
Okay, this will be our last test. Three, 2, 1. Boom. All right. Whoop, look. See that injector? Look at that, how that's off. This one too. We're going to go ahead and replace numbers 5 and 7. Now, I don't know whether those were the holes that they were in the car, but these 2 injectors are not balanced. And what we'll do with the new injectors, we'll run them to make sure they're still balanced like the rest of them. That's a nice little feature. That way you have all the cylinders balanced and they contribute the same.